Hello, everybody. This is Mike, and you're listening to the SoundstageEDU podcast. And before we get into this one, do me a quick favor. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or even YouTube, make sure you follow, subscribe, and leave a review. And if you want to keep this work moving, hit me up on the Buy Me a Coffee page where we've got free templates, guides, and resources waiting for you. Because today, man, I already know I'm going to piss some of you off with this one, and honestly, I'm okay with that. This is a sound-off episode. This is where we don't sugarcoat. This is where we say the thing that everybody tiptoes around, and today, we're talking about one of the dumbest things I've seen in a while. A high school band showing up to a football game with kazoos. So a quick recap, if you somehow missed this, Memphis Central's band got banned from playing their instruments at a football game. Fine. It happens, right? Sometimes rules are put in place, sometimes they're dumb rules, but hey, that's the call. But instead of respecting that, they showed up with kazoos. Yes, kazoos. And they leaned into it, blowing their way through the stands as a giant middle finger to the rule. At first glance, yeah, it's funny. I laughed when I read the headline because as a band kid, I know pettiness runs deep, but the more I thought about it, the less funny it got. This wasn't clever resistance. This wasn't civil disobedience with a purpose. This was flat out obnoxious, and worse, it was modeled by adults as something to celebrate. And when I called this out online, gently, mind you, all I said was, I find it funny. But was this really the best reaction? And y'all, I got torched. Parents came after me like I'd insulted their mama's potato salad at the church potluck. And that right there told me something bigger than the kazoo stunt. We have a cultural problem because the comments weren't just, hey, lighten up, bud, it's a joke. They were full-throated support for disrespect. They were cheering on adults, teaching kids to mock authority instead of model resilience. And that, my friends, is dangerous. Let's play out the scenario. The band gets banned from playing. Okay. Respect the decision. It might feel unfair, but that's when you pivot. You show up anyway. You support your team with energy, with class, with presence. You sing your chants, you clap, you stand tall in your jackets and represent your school with dignity. What you don't do is say, well, if they won't let us play with real instruments, we'll just make fools of ourselves with plastic toys. Because here's the question I have. If the football crowd had decided to drown out every single band performance with their own kazoos, would these same parents still think it's funny? No. They'd be screaming bloody freaking murder about respect. And here's where it gets real. Parents, I'm talking to you. Culture starts with you. When you laugh at disrespect, when you cheer on petty stunts, when you clap for mockery, you're teaching your kids that winning the joke is more important than showing character. And don't give me the line about, well, it's just football culture. No! I live in Kansas. I grew up in Oklahoma. I know football culture. I know the worship, the politics, the pressure. And yes, I was a band kid who cut his teeth in one of the most competitive environments out there. So don't tell me I don't get it. I get it. I also get that respect matters more than the laugh of the week. But imagine this instead. The band shows up silent, but unified. They stand the whole game side by side in perfect posture. They clap, they chant, they use their presence as power. People notice that. They ask questions. They start to say, why isn't the band playing? They look so disciplined. And that puts pressure on the administration. That earns respect. That creates conversation so that you can move past the ban. But instead, what do we have? A headline about kazoos, a punchline, and parents patting themselves on the back because they got attention. That's the wrong kind of attention, folks. And that's why I'm really fired up about this. Fine arts already fight for respect. Budgets are cut. Time is cut, space is cut, and every time we show ourselves as childish instead of disciplined, we reinforce the stereotype that the arts don't matter, that we're not serious, that we're just noisemakers. That's the exact opposite of the fight we need right now. You want your kids' programs to survive? Then model dignity. You model class. You teach your kids that when someone tries to knock them down, they stand taller. Not that they whip out a dollar store kazoo and blow raspberries at authority. So yeah, I know this is going to tick some of you off. Some of you are going to hear this and think, man, Mike's taking this too seriously. It was just a joke. But I'll tell you what. I'd rather be the guy accused of caring too much than the guy who claps for disrespect because it makes a funny headline. Parents, directors, boosters, your kids are watching you. Every move you make is shaping what they believe leadership should look like. So please, for the sake of the arts, for the sake of your own credibility, for the sake of your children, stop applauding bad behavior. Be the example. Be the culture shift, because if we keep cheering for the kazoo moments, we're not raising advocates. We're raising hecklers. And our kids deserve better. So if anything about this lit a fire in you, even if it made you mad, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone in your parent group, because these conversations matter. And if you want the tools to actually build culture the right way, head over to the Buy Me a Coffee page, where we've got free downloads and guides that can help you do just that. We are adding more every day. This has been Mike, and this was your Sound Off.